Welcome to our virtual holiday show with Fred Olsen Cruise Lines. Shortly, I'll be handing you over to Kerry, the UK account manager for Fred Olsen Cruise Lines, who will be covering, among other things, their plain sailing guarantee, when they're planning to start sailing again, and any new itineraries for 2022. As I'm sure some of you already know, we at Lincolnshire Co-op Travel have been looking after our members for over 150 years. We're a successful local business who reinvest our profits locally. We're not owned by a tour operator, so we are 100% independent and are able to offer you the right holiday, whether it be a European river cruise or something further afield. We also support local charities. This means that when you shop with us, we give back to the local community. And finally, before I hand you over to Kerry, you'll be able to see a list of our branches on your screen. Details of these can be found at www.lincolnshire.coop/travel. And at the end of this session, we will also be having a quick Q&A to answer some of your questions. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Kerry. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So good morning, everyone. So as Paul said, my name is Kerry, and I'm going to be talking to you all about Fred Olsen Cruise Lines. So I'm just going to bring up this presentation for you.
Lovely.
So you may be wondering, some of you may have cruised with Fred Olsen before and have lots of questions about particularly our new ships and what it's going to be like cruising after COVID. Some of you may never have cruised before. Some of you may never have been on a Fred Olsen ship before. So I'm hoping to be able to answer some of those questions that you may have on the tip of your tongue at the moment. So first of all, we're going to look at who we are at Fred Olsen Cruise Lines. What type of cruise experience do we offer you? How many ships do we have in our fleet? You may certainly have heard that we've gained 2 new ones over the last couple of months. What about these new ships? What facilities? What do they have on board? And when, of course, do we hope to set sail again? Which I think is the #1 question that everybody has, including myself and lots of us at head office that are itching to get back on board as well. What are we doing in terms of health and safety? And of course, do we offer any form of guarantee in light of COVID-19? Yes, we do. And of course, I will come on to that in more detail throughout the presentation. And what are our plans for 2021 and 2022? Where are we going? And lots of offers and things like that. So these are the points that I will be covering within the next half an hour or so with you. So first of all, why choose Fred Olsen Cruise Lines? Well, there are a huge number of reasons why you should come on board and cruise with us. The first one really is that we're a family-run business. We do take your guest experiences personally. Fred Olsen, the Fred Olsen family, particularly Fred Olsen Jr., are very much involved in the dealings of the ships, what happens on board, and certainly where the ships are going as well. So very much an involved family-run business that we all take great pride in. Each and every one of us at head office on the ships and of course the family. So we do have small ships, but we have lots and lots and lots of big benefits. If anybody is wondering where that picture is taken, that is the Braemar cruising through the Corinth Canal, which actually is now in the Guinness Book of Records for the largest ship, although very small, to be able to cruise through the Corinth Canal. So being that we have small ships, we can take you, our guests, to key destinations and locations that big ships simply cannot get to. And we do believe that smaller is better because of these reasons. We can take you, and it's much more intimate feeling on board our ships. There's less overcrowding on board, and also when you are stepping ashore as well. So for example, when you're going to places like the Caribbean, we may be the only ship in port that particular day. So that means that you can enjoy it with less people and it's not overcrowded, both on board and ashore. And of course, being on a smaller ship, we get to know you, our guests, and they get to know us, which is a really, really lovely feeling, particularly the guests that do return year after year. They are remembered personally by their first name when they are returning back on board with us. It's a really nice, intimate feeling being on a smaller Fred Olsen ship. We do make our itineraries very specific and very handmade, and since 2015, so for the last 5 years, we've actually won the Cruise Critic Award for the best itineraries for the UK cruise market, which is absolutely fantastic award to receive. And our itinerary planners are always working hard to find new places to take our ships to. We also have a very high loyal passenger. So nearly 70% of our guests do return to Fred Olsen year after year, maybe more times within that year. So we've always got to find new places to take them. We are also sailing from 6 UK regional departure ports. So what we'd like to say is that there's a Fred Olsen ship not too far from your home. So we've got departures up in Scotland, so Rosyth, Edinburgh, which is actually where our 4 ships are currently based during this dry dock season. We've also got departures out of Newcastle, Liverpool, Dover, Southampton, and recently we have returned to Portsmouth as sailings as well. So like I just mentioned, we do have lots and lots of loyal guests. In fact, we do actually have the highest percentage of returning guests in the whole of the UK cruise market. And I do think that that speaks volumes in itself, that those guests that come on board our ships love it and they do return, I would say, year after year. We have a bit of a joke with some of them that they literally go home, check their post, mow their lawn, and they're back on board our ships. They do love the experience. They love coming back on board because they are remembered and they are treated as an individual and not just another cabin number. So it's fast approaching about 70% of our guests on board are actually repeat guests, which is a huge amount. But not to say that we don't love having new guests coming on board as well and experiencing Fred Olsen for the first time. And generally speaking, they do come back then and they are then loyal guests themselves. Enjoyment promise. This is quite a key one at the moment. So if you've never cruised with Fred Olsen, or you have cruised with Fred Olsen many times and maybe you want to experience one of our alternative ships or anything, a new destination for yourself, we have the Fred's Enjoyment Promise. We like to guarantee that you're going to come on board our ships and you're going to enjoy your cruise. If for any reason that isn't the case, you can let us know within 48 hours of stepping on board, and we will then be able to fly you home from the first available port of call and at our expense, and then give you a full refund. That's within the first 48 hours of your cruise. If you're not enjoying it, let us know. If you want to go home, we will fly you home at our cost and give you a full refund on your cruise. So that's our enjoyment promise, which we do like to say. You come on board our ships and you will certainly enjoy your cruise. But if for any reason you're not, then it's at our expense and you'll get a full refund. And that's a really, really good promise, particularly for those of you that are first-timer cruisers out there, or certainly first-timers to Fred Olsen, and you do obviously want to experience and come on board. But if you realise it's not for you, then this is a great enjoyment promise that you can take. So let's have a little closer look at our ship. So over the last couple of months, you may have heard in the press that we have got some new ships, which I will be going into in a bit more detail. But first of all, let's just look at our existing ships. So this is Braemar. She's now actually the smallest UK commercial cruise line in the UK. So that does actually give us great big benefits of being able to take you to destinations that big ships can't simply get to. The Current Canal here is a great one. You wouldn't be able to cruise through this on certainly large ships. Braemar carries around 900 passengers. So just going to show you some images of inside the ship. Now, the reason I want to show you these is because when we come on to look at the new ships in a moment, obviously we're still very much putting our Fred Olsen stamp on them. So eventually over time, they will come up to the Fred Olsen standards before we set sail. But I just wanted to show you some of our existing ships and our existing facilities on board. And then when the 2 new ships are ready for sailing, they will very much be on par with Braemar and Balmoral. So this is the Observatory Lounge, one of my favourite places actually on board Braemar, a great place for evening cocktail drinks, whether it's pre or post dinner. And for places like cruising the midnight sun up in Norway, you can be up here at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, kind of forget what time of day it's all night it is, and just watching the beautiful scenery as we cruise through. So this is up on the top deck, up on deck 8. The Palms Cafe. So a lot of people do have questions about eating when they're coming on board, and probably one of the biggest questions that we have. So we do have lots of dining options and new dining options with our new ships as well. So this is the Palms Cafe on board Braemar. It's more of a buffet style of restaurant. So you can go in, choose your table, go in at an unset time and just go and decide what you would like to eat. And it's a buffet style restaurant. Alternatively, we do have the Thistle restaurant, which as you can see here, and this is the more a la carte sit down waiter service restaurant. We have 2 on board Braemar. So when you're choosing to make your booking on board the Fred Olsen ships, you'll have the choice of first or second sitting for dinner. You'll also have a choice of restaurant, and that will be the same throughout your entire cruise. And believe me, the food is absolutely outstanding on board our ships. It's something I used to actually work on board. I spent 7 years working on board myself, and I miss the food terribly. The food is outstanding. And again, that is one reason people say that they do return to Fred Olsen year after year, because of the food is outstanding. They know exactly what service they're going to get and what food they're going to get, and they love it, and that's why they come back. Evening entertainment, again, another big thing for people, what to do on the ships when they're sailing, what to do in the evening. We of course have lots of entertainment venues around the ship. This is one of them. It's called the Neptune Lounge. So we have a resident orchestra, we have a resident show company. We then obviously, each cruise we get guest entertainers coming on board, so we might have classical musicians, comedians. We will also have lectures going on here throughout your sea days, just to give you maybe a bit more insight about the destination you're visiting, or if the cruise has a certain theme to it, there'll be more enhanced lectures going on in this particular lounge. The Coral Club, again on board Braemar, is just an alternative venue. We have quizzes, we have discos, we have karaoke's. There's always something to keep you entertained throughout your day and evening on board our ships. Moving on to the Balmoral. She was the largest ship within the fleet up until a couple of months ago when we got new ships. So Balmoral has been cruising it out of the north, so up in Newcastle and Scotland for us. She carries around 1,200 guests on board the Balmoral. And again, I'm just going to show you a few more images of inside the ship. So this is the poolside restaurant on board Balmoral. This is the grill. So we do obviously have specialty dining restaurants that you can pay a small premium on board and upgrade. Maybe it's a big birthday or an anniversary, or you just want to treat yourself throughout the cruise, and you can upgrade to the specialty dining restaurants. The Avon and Spey restaurants on Balmoral are up on Highland Deck number 10. They're much smaller restaurants, and people do really enjoy going in these restaurants. And again, the earlier you book, obviously the more availability there's going to be to get into those restaurants on Avon and Spey on Balmoral. The Marquee Bar, of course, we've got bars all around the ships as well. This one here is the Marquee Bar on one of the higher decks. And then a couple of years ago, we of course introduced a gelato bar, so an ice cream parlour, which you can go out throughout the day. It's a nice hot sunny day on deck. You can go and grab yourself an ice cream. And of course, we do have entertainment lounges on board Balmoral as well. And this is the Neptune Lounge. It's more of a tiered theatre sitting, as you can see here. And of course, the stage raises and lowers for performances. Neptune Bar on Balmoral with our nice, happy, cheery staff. And this is also the observatory, so similar to the observatory that we have on Braemar, but this one's obviously on Balmoral. It's a little bit larger as well. Now, I just want to give you this information before I come on and talk to you about Borealis and Boletta, which are very much our new ships. So this presentation may not include all of the information that you want to know about our new ships at the moment. However, we will try our best to answer all your questions. We're still very much in the very early but very exciting stages of planning. So it's important that we ensure that our new vessels are representative of the Fred Olsen standard, from the engines to the cabins, the bars, the lounges, and all the way through to our welcoming and friendly customer service that we're renowned for. So please do keep that in mind when I show you the next few images of our new ships. So we did purchase them from Holland America, and over the last couple of months and going forward until we are ready to put them back in the water, we are certainly putting our Fred Olsen stamp on them to make and get them ready for welcoming you back on board. So we do have, of course, lots and lots and lots of exciting things to get ready for. So in particular, the new ships do feature a number of new facilities and will enhance our fleet. In particular, they do offer a new level of premium comfort. So there is certainly more space throughout the ships, more space per guest as well. And I think that's going to be particularly important moving forward. There is an all-weather pool with a retractable roof. So that means if it is cold outside or it's raining, we can simply put the roof over and you can still be able to enjoy the swimming pool in whatever the weather, basically. And there's lots of premium lounges around the ship as well. So on board Borealis and Boletta, we do have more restaurants, bars and lounges, as well as dedicating meeting rooms, particularly for those of you that are coming on board as groups or that you actually meet on board as a group. So you may be part of a solos group, you may be part of a walking group, or you just may meet lots of friends on board that you just want that extra area on board that you can have basically to yourselves, which is quite nice. One that I'm particularly really excited about is a culinary demonstration theatre and a wine tasting venue. This just sounds absolutely heaven to me. Basically where we can showcase food and drink from the destinations we're visiting. So we'll be able to have our chefs in there demonstrating all the cooking, wine tasting. So this would be absolutely fantastic, particularly on a French or a Spanish cruise, I think, where there's lots of exciting food. We've got more suites and cabins with balconies, and they are much larger than we had on our previous ships also. The restaurants have a two-tier main restaurants, giving us the opportunity to offer you both fixed and flexible dining. So with our new ships, this is something that lots of people have been asking previously. They don't necessarily want to be stuck to a particular first or second sitting throughout the cruise. So we are able to, because we have more space on our new ships, and particularly with the two-tier restaurant, able to offer now an open dining service, which I think is going to be fantastic for a lot of our guests. More details will come in due course on that. Obviously, we are still finalising exactly how it's going to work and where we can offer it on board. We've also got a classic two-tier theatre on our ships, something that we never had on Boudica and Blackwatch. So I'm really excited about this two-tiered theatre as well. And our spa facilities on board these new ships are much larger. And as you can see from this image here, there's spa, hydro pools, thermal spas, and so forth. So just going to go into a little bit more detail about Boletta and Borealis. Now, you may have known that they were former Holland America ships that we purchased earlier this year. So the Boletta was previously known as MS Amsterdam, so you may certainly have been on her before. Now, she's mainly going to be cruising out to Dover for us for 2021. Another great feature is that their cruising speeds are much faster than we had with Boudica and Blackwatch. So we're able to get maybe more ports of call in and certainly be able to go across the Atlantic or the Pacific Oceans a lot quicker than the Boudica and Blackwatch were able to do so. The guest capacity, although they're much larger ships, the guest capacity is 1,338. So we've actually increased our overall capacity of the fleet by about 30%. But don't be put off, these are still very much smaller ships. They're not the giant ships. And a smaller ship in the UK cruise market is anything less than 1,400 guests. So we're very much still in that cruising market of smaller ships. She was built in 2000. She's got a length of 237 metres, a beam of 32.2 metres, and a gross tonnage of just over 62,000. So I'm just going to go through some of the decks on board. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is very much how the ship looks right now. When we have done our upgrades and things, there obviously will be new images to be able to share with you. So as it currently stands, and again, even the features on board will change, and even possibly some of the names, just to make it very much a Fred Olsen ship. So this is deck 9 aft. So we've got sports courts, kids and teen areas, which is question mark if that's going to be staying, the observatory, the bandstand. Deck 8 aft, sea view pool, buffet restaurant, marquee bars, all-weather Lido pool, which we've mentioned already, jacuzzis, poolside Lido bar, specialty dining, then thermal suites with massage and treatment rooms, saunas and steam rooms, hydro pools, a gym, and of course a beauty salon as well. So just going into blowing up some of these images so you can have a bit of a better view. So you can see up there, that big white thing is actually the roof that comes across. Moving on to some of the cabins, so decks 6 and 7 have got the owner suite, premier suites, balcony and interior cabins. One thing I will highlight, if you've managed to look through some of the new deck plans with our new ships, deck 1 is actually going to be the passenger cabins that start at. So whereas previously on our other ships, Balmoral and Braemar, deck 1 and deck 2 would generally be crew decks. They still obviously exist on these new ships, but we're starting with deck 1 as the passenger deck. So you still got effectively deck 0 and deck -1 are still there as crew decks. We just named them slightly different. So deck 1 is actually going to be passenger deck, and that's the equivalent to deck 3 on board previously Boudica, Blackwatch, Balmoral, and of course Braemar. So just to give you an idea of some of the suites, this is the decor, this is what it looks like now. Obviously, that's certainly likely to change when we put our Fred Olsen stamp on it, but it's just to give you an idea of how the ship looks and feels as it is currently. And of course, we've got the main deck 5, the main restaurant, which is the upper tier. Don't forget, it's got 2 tiers. Shops, casino, again, TBC, we're not sure whether we will be having a very small casino, but certainly not like it was when it was obviously an American passenger ship. Morning light pub, shopping arcades, ocean bar, atrium, meeting spaces, future cruise desk, puzzle rooms, libraries, cafe, oriental room, jewellers, anything pretty much that you would have found on board our previous ships, and of course Braemar and Balmoral. Most of this we have mentioned as well, so just again, just a bit of a bigger image to show you of the culinary theatre. And this is the grill, so this will be the specialty dining restaurant. You can see a much nicer, more intimate, smaller restaurant that you'll be able to pay a small premium to dine in throughout your cruise. And of course, cabin accommodation is down on decks 3, 2 and 1 as well. We also have a self-service laundry on deck 3. So moving on to Borealis, she was formerly known as MS Rotterdam. She's going to be mainly cruising in and out of Liverpool, and she will be doing voyages over to Canada and America as well. Again, with a higher cruising speed of 21 knots, she's able to visit more ports in less time over across the pond. Guest capacity 1,360. So again, very much a Fred Olsen ship. Smaller capacity, smaller ships. We can still take you to smaller destinations than the big ships can get to. Gross tonnage of just over 61,000, and she was built in 1997. So we've upgraded our fleet. Again, very similar to Borealis and Boletta, the observatory lounge, bandstand, sports courts, gymnasium, jacuzzi, specialty dining, very much similar. And we're going to be keeping most of the facilities on board, such as these. This is the thermal suite that we mentioned previously. So a much larger area, and of course windows as well. Some of our spa facilities on board previous ships didn't even have windows. So it's a great thing. You can sit there and relax and still watch what's going on outside. Decks 6 and 7, of course, will contain the premium suites, balconies, the owner suites. We will of course have interior cabins and officer accommodation, and the bridge is up on deck 7. And again, libraries, future cruises, very similar facilities on both of our new ships. This is what the library looks like now, very similar to a Fred Olsen style actually. It'll be the morning light pub, I'm pretty sure. And again, 2-tiered restaurant as well. And this is the atrium with a nice grand clock. So they're the new ships. I just also want to talk to you about our turn of year, which launched last week on the 3rd of December. So this is an offer that we have running through until the 2nd of February. It's for cruises for 2021 and 2022. So cruising will start from $599 per person, and you'll have your choice of free drinks package on your chosen itinerary, or an onboard spending credit of up to £600. Now that spending credit works out about £20 per person per night, depending on the duration of the cruise that you're choosing. We've also got our plain sailing guarantee. and also the enjoyment promise, which I've mentioned. And we've also got solo offers. So of course, we've got a lot of solo cabins on the new ships, as well as Braemar and Balmoral. So have a look through the itineraries and make sure you do book by the 2nd of February to get the best deals available at the moment. So just to give you an idea of some of the cruises that you can take with us for as little as $599, maybe you haven't cruised for a while and you just want to step back on a ship and just go somewhere, it doesn't matter where, even if it's for a short period of time. So we've got various departure ports around the UK, various times throughout the year. So we've got some March departures in there, some May ones, October, November, and through to December as well. So there's between 5 and 7 night short cruises from as little as $599 per person. Some new itineraries that have very recently been launched is Canada in the fall for 2020. So this is a fantastic itinerary going on board Borealis, our new ship, from Liverpool, the 19 nights on the 28th of September 2022. That has an onboard spending credit of up to £200 per person if you book by the 31st of December. So just to give you an idea, here's a map of the itinerary. So you're going over to St John's, Sydney, Quebec, and back into Belfast on the way home. So it's a beautiful itinerary if you've not been to that part of the world before on one of our new ships. An itinerary that we are putting on sale this week actually is going to be a brand new itinerary revisiting Prussia. So it's going on sale to our Ocean members only. So that's our loyal guests that have cruised with Fred Olsen previously. If you haven't cruised with Fred, and this is a very exciting itinerary that you think you'd like to do, you just have to wait until 24 hours later, until the 11th of December, and it's going on general sale. So prices start at $1499, and again, we've got an onboard spending credit of up to $150 per person. And don't forget, if you have cruised with us before, your Ocean's loyalty discounts will apply at 5% discount. This is a very different, very new itinerary that we've not really done much of this particular area before. So it's leaving from Rosyth and Edinburgh, and being the Braemar, she's able to visit even some ports of call that our other ships aren't be able to do so. So particularly into places like Kaliningrad, which is quite exciting. And of course, being able to go through the Kiel Canal. And that goes on sale this week. Back in the water, again, very much a question that everybody has on their lips at the moment. When are we actually going to be going back in the water? So, of course, we're very much looking forward and can't wait to get back on board. Our crew are itching to come back. We, as head office staff, can't wait to get back on board. And we can't wait to see your friendly faces again and get you back on board too. So whilst some cruise lines out there are starting to share their thoughts on health and safety and what they think the future of cruising will look like, our view that it's still a very little too early given the very changeable situation and ever-evolving science. We know there is a lot of speculation over temperature scanners, the wearing of masks, removal of buffets and new air conditioning filters and systems. However, we believe a more considered and careful approach is needed. This is not just to make sure that we get it absolutely right, but also to retain the safety of those elements of the cruise experience that we all know and love. So once the time is ready, we'll of course be able to let you know when we are sailing again. Our plans are February, but possibly that could change, but certainly would like to think that we'll be back in the water in springtime. And great news today is that people are starting to receive the vaccination. So as soon as that's rolled out and that we can get back sailing, the better for all of us. Small ships, not small print. So if you are thinking of booking a 2021 cruise, you can do so with no risk of deposit. You can transfer a cruise on your terms and no quibble refunds. We know the world is quite uncertain at the moment, but that doesn't mean that it's stopping you booking your next cruise. So if you do decide to make a booking now for a 2021 cruise and you later change your mind closer to the time about travelling, then we will either move your deposit you've already paid to alternative cruise with no admin fees or a full refund. All you have to do is let us know by the time that your full payment is due, and then we will be able to take care of the rest for you. You can transfer on your terms. If you are unable to travel due to testing positive for COVID, we will then transfer your cruise or give you a sailing credit. There's going to be no administration fees, and you can choose to cruise anytime with us within 12 months of your original sailing date. No quibble refunds. If you decide to cancel with us, you can have a full refund, no quibbles. So when we say small ships, not small print, there's no terms and conditions that go with this. It's just for 2021 departures. So you can book with confidence, knowing that for whatever reason, when you are parting with your money with us, that there is the opportunity to transfer your cruise or even get a full refund on your terms. Safe sailing charter, so small ships, big on safety. So before you cruise, we've updated our plain sailing guarantee, which I've just mentioned. We've got new insurance cover that will cover COVID. On board the ship, what's it going to be like? Of course, the highest cleanliness standards that we've always had on board our Fred Olsen ships, fresh air systems, specialty medical facilities, again, that we've had on board our ships previously. And whilst you're ashore, we'll have additional port operations in place, keeping the crowds down, those sorts of things, and the pre-approved tour partners and smaller groups. Again, it's very much, none of this is set in stone at the moment, because we are still working with the government and CLIA, our board, to work out the best way of getting you safely back on board, and of course enjoying your time when you're back on board with us too. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time. I hope it's been able to answer some of those burning questions that you may have had with us. We can't wait to see you back on board for those of you that have cruised with us before and see those lovely smiley faces. And of course, if you've never cruised with Fred Olsen before, we'd love to welcome you on board, and particularly on our new ships, and experience everything that we have to offer. And hopefully we'll all see you soon. So I'll just hand back over to Paul. So thank you, Paul, for that.
Hey, thank you, Kerry. That was fantastic. I've been lucky enough to experience your ships myself a couple of times, and they are fantastic. And the two new ships look incredible; they really do. So we've had quite a few questions coming for this actually. So I've furiously been adding them to a PowerPoint. So I'll share my screen again with you.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. So if you're ready, Kerry, we'll go through a few of these questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lovely. Right. So the first question from Paul in Horncastle. How will the flexible dining on board your two new ships work?
Okay, so first of all, we are not getting rid of the first and second sitting that we have on all of our ships. So that is a decision that you make when you're booking your cruise. So you can have first sitting or second sitting, and that's going to stay the same for Braemar and Balmoral. But with the new ships, obviously we've got a bigger area, we've got more destination, more dining restaurants that we can offer, a more flexible dining. So the fine details haven't actually been finalised at the moment, so I can just give you a quick overview. But it will mean that if you do opt for the open flexible dining, that will be for the whole cruise duration. So there'll be a certain area within the restaurant that you can just turn up to at your particular dining time, and that can be different each day throughout your cruise, as long as you're on the flexible dining. You can't, therefore, at the moment, I don't think it's going to be possible, choose from first sitting, second sitting and flexible dining all in one particular itinerary. So it's going to be something that is stuck throughout your cruise. So if flexible dining is more for you, then you've got that option. But don't forget, we'll still have the buffet dining restaurants as well, which is kind of another flexible dining option. This is the flexible dining option for the main a la carte restaurants.
Okay, fantastic.
So once we've got more information, of course, we will be able to share it. There is lots of things that we are still working on at the moment, but yeah, we hope to be able to share the final details once they are ready.
Lovely, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So moving on to the next one, we have got from Suey Market Raisin. How do the cabins compare on your new ships compared to the previous ones?
Well, firstly, they're much larger, which is a great thing. So just to give you some stats, on board Boudica and Blackwatch, they were 160 square foot for our standard size cabins. On board Valletta and Borealis, they're 214 square foot. So they are much larger, and the facilities that you have in the cabins and the suites, such as your mini bars, your fridges, all those sorts of things are going to be carried over going forward on board the new ships.
Lovely, fantastic. So next we've got from Pat in Lincoln. The new ships have kids areas on board. Does that mean you're looking to attract more families on board?
Essentially no. However, so the new ships did have kids areas on board. What we don't want to say is, you know, kids are allowed on board our ships, of course they are, We do have, we certainly have had in the past itineraries that have been adult only, don't forget, but we are finding that there are going to be more families and generational families cruising. So that's where your grandparents, the adults of the parents, and then of course the grandchildren as well. So definitely not a cruise line that's going to be going out and saying we've got all these amazing facilities for kids, because that certainly is not us. That's not Fred Olsen. So basically what you may have experienced on board before with the other ships, that's going to be how it's going forward. So yes, there are more kids areas on board the new ships, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be staying, and we may just keep them, but they may just be in a smaller area on board our ships.
Okay, fantastic. Right, so we've got some more questions. I've got 2 pages of questions this time.
Oh, right, okay.
So we've got from Morris in Long Sutton. The new ships have casinos. That isn't really a Fred Olsen thing. Are they staying?
Well, actually, the actual casino machines were owned by Holland America, and they've already taken them off the ship. So
Right.
where the casinos were on board the new ships is just at the moment is very much an open space, so a blank piece of paper for us to be able to decide what we're going to do with that. On Braemar, Balmoral, Boudica and Blackwatch, of course, we did have casinos, but very, very, very small scale.
Yeah.
So again, it's work in progress. I'd like to think that yes, we will have some sort of casino, but certainly not what it was like on a grand scale before, being that it was a Holland America ship and mainly had Canadian and American guests. So again, I can't answer that exactly, but it's definitely, you're right, it's not a Fred Olsen thing, and they are likely to be staying, but on a much, much smaller scale.
Fantastic.
I mean, the area where they have the casino, we could turn that into another restaurant or into another bar area or a lounge. It's something that we're very much working with whilst our ships are in dry dock at the moment.
Oh, I look forward to seeing it. Fantastic. Thank you.
Me too, yep.
You have to take me down and show me around when they're finished.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
When we're allowed out again. Right, so last but not least, from Helen in Grantham, you mentioned Braemar will serve Rothesay in 22. Are you moving the ships around, because Braemar has traditionally been operating out of Southampton?
Yes, although I can't give much detail away at the moment because we haven't launched the rest of our 22 into 2023 itineraries, but we are putting Rosyth on sale this week with one itinerary out of Rosyth. So yes, it does look like the ships are going to be moving around. We do have lots of loyal guests with Fred Olsen, as I've mentioned, and some of them particularly will only sail on certain ships. Some of them will only sail out of certain departure ports because it's convenient for them. So every couple of years, yes, we will move the ships around so that people up in the north, particularly, they've had Balmoral up there previously. The last couple of years, they had Boudica and Blackwatch a few years prior to that. So yeah, we will be moving the ships around. So it's likely that Valletta will be out of Southampton, Borealis, and then just moving Braemar up to the north. I can't answer any more details about that, unfortunately. How long she's going to be there, where she's going, that will come when the new itineraries are announced, hopefully not long into the new year.
Oh, lovely. I look forward to seeing those.
Yeah.
So last thing from us is to announce the winner of our £50 holiday voucher. So I would like to say congratulations to Hilda Pickett. So congratulations, Hilda. Our marketing team will contact you after the event to arrange sending you the vouchers. And all is left for me to do is say thank you for your time, Kerry. That was fascinating.
No problem at all. Thank you for your time too.
Lovely. Thank you.
All right.